Love your hair.
Hi, I am here for I Heart Noise with Camille Trust and Walker Kalan, and we're talking about I Need Your Love, a new show that's screening at the Tribeca Film Festival this year. So if you will tell me a little bit about your role in this project and about yourselves.
My name is Camille Trust. I am the co-creator slash the star of I Need Your Love.
And I am Walker Callan. I am co-creator and writer director. Definitely not the star. Uh,
So I watched the show and I absolutely loved it. I can't wait to see the whole thing released. That's going to be awesome. And I especially loved the log line. I'm going to read it really quick. An extremely talented and super hot singer claws her way to pop stardom despite being slightly over the age of 30. No, she won't suck your dick for a gig, but she will fuck your mom. I love that. Whoever wrote that, kudos. So I
That's
was
all Walker.
wondering, is it important to both of you to shine a light on ageism in the industry?
thanks for asking. Cam,
Absolutely.
take it away.
Absolutely. I think especially in this world of, obviously striving to be look a certain way and things like that, and especially in the music industry where a lot of they start them very young and then they like whatever groom them to be whatever. I think there is this feeling of loss and almost like, oh my God, am I losing the chance? Are my chances slimming now that as I get older? Are my chances dwindling of actually accomplishing my dreams? Of course. And I think that it is very important to address that because that is something that everybody feels, as they go through life and age older and they're not necessarily accomplishing the things at the landmarks that they wanted to accomplish them by. And then, oh God, now what? I'm a failure, and I think we should speak to that and normalize that in a way, and yeah, address that because it's fucked up, to be frank.
Totally. Yeah. I really appreciated that when I was doing the research for the show and I read the tagline, I saw the ageism is like a topic that's in the show. I'm like, oh yes, this is great. I'm glad to see somebody address that.
Thanks, thanks for calling
Yeah.
that out. Yeah.
Yeah. So Camila, I was wondering, with the show being semi-autobiographical, do you find that people feel like they know you in a parasocial way after they've seen this and listened to your music?
Let's hope so.
Yeah.
Let's freaking
Yeah.
hope so. I'm putting it all out on the line here, baby.
So, this is a word that I'm only recently familiar with. Can you explain that a little bit? Because it's kind of an interesting thing.
Yeah, from what I understand, it means that people feel like that you're friends almost, if they're friends with someone that
Mhm.
they're seeing on Twitter or online on TikTok, whatever. And
Mhm.
so they feel like they have more of a relationship than they actually do in real life.
It's a very interesting concept.
Yeah.
And it also kind of plays into the tail. Did you watch the other episode, the Taylor Swift one?
Yeah,
I mean, it's not a one for one with the parasocial, but it's very much related in the sort of like the way that I'll just say we as people can sort of like we identify with others, especially those of prominence, and or we relate to or we form these like little tribal groups based on like shared interests and stuff like that, over how it's like it can be really cool to give so that people have friends and support, but it can also be kind of a little bit scary when it reaches a sort of like intensity that gets seemingly a little bit out of control. Let's be honest there. So it's all a mixed bag, and we're just living this in this world. So it's we might as well address these things that are in front of us.
yeah. Totally. And that actually brings me to the Taylor Swift episode. It deals with a true story of a tweet that you made, Camille, where you compared Taylor Swift's 2023 music video for Lavender Haze to your 2019 video for Lavender. And then the Swifties came after you after that. Are you worried that this is going to stir them up again?
Girl, they haven't stopped stirring. So I think but again, it's less about trying to we're not trying to necessarily, I don't want more trolls coming at me. It's more so just telling a narrative about the level of fandom that people possess and sort of making a satire about the extremes that people are willing to go through. And but to be honest, when I did send out that tweet, I got a lot of negative feedback, and even from friends. It's not even from, they're like, you're stretching here. There's nothing, you need to calm down, things like that. And but at the same time, and I think this can be spoken to not just specifically about that scenario, but in anything. If you believe in something, like, say it, and like, you're gonna get negative or whatever feedback from it. But at the same time, if you believe it to be true and you're like, honestly, yeah, then for sure. But I've definitely received some crazy messages towards me already about that. But I also have been able to really disassociate myself from those. I'm not allowing myself to like read all that or go down that path of self-destruction, because that's not helping anybody, especially myself. So, but there's still, yeah, no, for sure, there's still some activity
They're
there.
out there.
Something I always like to ask creatives, I have a theory that I'm working on that most creative people have to struggle through some degree of imposter syndrome to create their work. So does confidence in your work for both of you, does it come naturally, or do you have to deal with imposter syndrome?
I
Walker?
mean, yeah, most certainly. I find it interesting. It's kind of, I feel like it's a little bit of a trendy phrase nowadays that
Mhm.
like people use it for false humility, I think. Um, but sorry to be negative there, but like, oh, for sure. I think that, I mean, I'm not gonna speak for both of us, but like just having had the conversation, that was just a huge part of the conversation with everyone involved in this project, which was like, we need to talk about like our fears and our vulnerabilities, not to like weaponize them in some kind of weird way, but just so we're all like, no one feels like they're the greatest version of themselves. And if they do, congratulations, or you're delusional or whatever. But like, hopefully we can get towards that. Um, but like, I experienced or even because it's like writers identify as like intelligent people, and I'm like, I never felt like in the same room as people who really were real writers and things like that. And the same thing when it comes to directing, it's like, well, everyone's got more experience, everyone's got more credits, and it's a great way to comparing yourself to other people, which I do all the time, is a great way to really fuck your head up. So um, that's a long way of saying that. I certainly experienced that, but I have a lot of faith in this particular thing that we're working on, so it's easy to talk about because
Okay.
I think because we put so much work into it and we had just the right wonderful people that were together working on this with us,
Mhm.
that like it really makes it easy to not feel insecure about it.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can say the same. I think it's um even in aside from being a musician and being an independent artist and releasing music, and it was even so hard for me when I first moved to New York City to tell people I was a singer. That was like so scary to me to say that. I remember I was working also like as a brand ambassador for PayPal and stuff. So when I'd go out to bars, they'd be like, what do you do? I'm like, oh, I'm a brand ambassador for PayPal. Cause like in my mind, that seemed more normal than saying singer. And I remember one of my friends was like, Camille, you're a singer, lead with that. Like, why are you hiding what you actually are, you know? And so, but now I feel confident about the singing aspect. But then when we were filming this whole series, to be like, I'm an actor. Now here I am acting on camera. It was a total, I'm like, I don't, oh my gosh. So I think that there is definitely of course there are aspects of imposter syndrome with everybody, I feel, but I can speak personally for myself. Yes.
I feel like every creator, they have to struggle through, or most creators, maybe narcissists don't have to, but most creators have to struggle through that. And I think that makes the act of creation like a brave act in a way. Um,
Mm.
yeah.
Yeah.
And also, I wanted to note your acting, I thought was great, especially in the scene when you just got the phone call about SNL and you have the news in your mind and you're trying to play it cool. I thought that was like perfectly pitch
That
perfect.
isn't that great?
Thank you.
Good.
I really appreciate that.
I have many favorite moments, but I think I think you picked a good one there.
Nice. So, what's your favorite moment from filming this project?
Um, so Cam and I were talking about this earlier, so I'm gonna just bring it up again. We filmed this series and we filmed it in blocks and we filmed stuff out of order. That's because it was the only way we could get it done. And the first thing that we filmed was the last episode in this 5-part first season that we have,
Which you haven't seen.
which you have not seen, but you will see. So we filmed, and it was the setting was at this Italian street carnival in Brooklyn, which since I landed here about 11 or 12 years ago, have been going every summer, and it's a sort of like it's a great like it's one of those like landmarks of summers here, and it's classic, and I don't know if do you live in New York?
No, I'm in Cambridge, Massachusetts.
Oh, I was in Cambridge a few days ago.
Oh, cool.
Uh, my dad lives in Porter Square.
Oh, nice. I'm in Porter Square. I'm a neighbor with your
Wow.
dad.
My dad lives on
Aw.
Richdale Avenue.
Oh, okay, that's very close by. My food
That's
gets delivered to Richdale all the time.
hilarious. We'll talk later. Um, so there's this street carnival, it's called Giglio, and we kind of like I was like, we have to do something there, and it's just this incredible place, and I have friends who I've formed over the years who are these like old timers who have been doing this thing for 50 or 60 years, or their families have been doing it for multiple generations. And we had the priest on board and we had everyone. And so we had access to this incredible space, and we filmed everything completely immersive style live around pe hundreds or thousands of people. We did not like rope anything off. We didn't have any PAs that were like, you know how they stand on the sidewalk and like don't let you through. Like we did none of that. We basically just like we went for it, and I think I probably would have done a couple things differently knowing what I know now, but I'm really glad the way we did it, because we were like in it, and no amount of money would have allowed us to recreate the real thing, which is like just being immersed in this incredible tradition of a place that's like fun and loud and kind of messy because the people are boozed up, and it's like it's everything. Um, and it's special to me personally and Camille as an Italian American. So it was just awesome to be there. And it's such a dynamite location. So
Awesome.
For
anything,
me,
Cam?
I think it was at that festival as well, but it was we like bookend the seasons with me singing, and I feel like that's just where I feel the most powerful and the most strong and faithful within myself. So that we end it with me singing at this, like after the carnival dies, and like their sweepers are there and they're just whatever. Um, and I sang like an original song of mine. So that's how I think that was my favorite moment, because it was such a, this crazy momentous situation where we're swirled into this crazy like carnival, a street carnival essentially. And like I'm acting and like, but it's hot as hell. And like, we're just
Oh
like
man, so
moving
hot.
so fast, and we're just running around. And then this was finally the moment where I was like, okay, now let me do what I know, what I know how to do.
Oh,
You
nice.
know what I mean?
Nice.
And I think that set the scene really nicely for everyone, all the creatives and the cast and crew involved, because it really was like just such a pillar of kind of what we are trying to create the entire show about.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That sounds great. So I'm gonna wrap it up there, but thank you so much for sitting down with me. This has been really nice, and I can't wait to see the rest of the show.
Thank you,
Thanks.
Harmony.
We're excited.
Thank
I'll
you.
see you in Porter Square
All
sometime.
right. Yeah, I'll see you around.
Ciao.